Hello friends! I am so glad to have you with me today. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mrs. Urbach, and you know Charlie. Say hello to Charlie. We always enjoy seeing you. Well, do you see this quilt that's on the wall behind me? That's a fun, exciting one, isn't it? A little different than some of the ones we've seen before. Do you know what the quilter called that one? That one's called Just for Fun. She thought that was an appropriate name because she just thought it looked like fun. In fact, that quilt made her think of someone who was bowling. Can you see where she might have gotten that idea? If I look hard, I can probably see where she might have picked up the image of a bowling ball or something that reminded her of bowling lanes or even the pins that you knock down in a bowling game. Anyway, she thought this quilt looked like it was just for fun. So you know what I did? I showed the quilt to some people and asked what kind of fun things the quilt made them think of. And I got some really interesting answers, and they were all different. So I thought I would share those with you.
I see water running with lights behind it, and fish.
Well, when I look at it, especially like these shapes up here and the stripes on them kind of reminds me of like a royal jester from back in the day. And the jester, like their whole job was to help everybody have a good time. So that kind of ties in with the name of the quilt, and maybe that's why.
Feels like jazz, autumn, and geraniums. Music.
To me, it feels like a summer sunset and just the beginnings of a really cool night.
It reminds me of a carnival with all the funky shapes and colors.
I'm going to show you this quilt again. And I'm curious, what kind of fun things does the quilt make you think of? Those are some fun, interesting things. Isn't it amazing how we can look at the same thing and see such different things? And there's no right or wrong answers. It's just what you see when you look at it. Well, today's letter is the letter at the beginning of the word just, as in just for fun. If you know what letter makes that sound, go ahead and tell me. I'm going to draw it here. Did you say the letter J? If you did, you're correct. This is the letter J. This is a big J, and I'll draw a little j. And J says the sound J. Can you say that? J. Now how would you make the letter J with your body? Go ahead and give it a try. And while you do that, say the sound it makes. J. I'm proud of you for trying. Let's put our J up on the quilt behind me. Time to play I Spy. I have to confess, I didn't find a lot of J things on this quilt. But I did found one yummy J thing. Can you find it? Do you see some jelly beans? Jelly beans start with J. I didn't find any other J words, but I found some things that made me think of a J word. I found some fruit. I see lemons and strawberries. What do you call the liquid that comes from these fruits? Juice, right? We can get the juice out of the lemons or the strawberries or the apples or the berries. Juice starts with the letter J. What's your favorite kind of juice? I like that flavor also. What's another thing that you can make out of fruit, and it's something that you might spread on a piece of toast? Jam or jelly. Jam and jelly both start with the letter J. Good job. Well, let's sing our ABCs together. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Well, just like I had trouble finding some J words on the I Spy quilt, I also didn't have a single book that had a J in the title, and I can't go to the library right now. But I did have a story about this guy. And what is this guy doing? He's juggling. He's a juggler. And juggler starts with the letter J. So we're going to read this story today, and it's called The Clown of God. And it's an old legend, and it's been retold and illustrated by Tomie dePaola. Many, many years ago in Sorrento is a town in Italy, there lived a small boy named Giovanni who had no mother and no father. He dressed in rags and begged his bread and slept in doorways. But he was happy, and he could do something wonderful. He could juggle. Every day he would go to Signor Baptista's fruit and vegetable stall and juggle. Do you see him? He would juggle lemons and oranges, apples and eggplants, and even zucchini. Crowds would gather to watch, and when Giovanni had finished, they would buy from Signor Baptista. Then Signor Baptista's wife would give Giovanni a bowl of hot soup. It was a very good arrangement. He was really clever. One day, a troupe of traveling players came to town, and Giovanni watched as Arlecchino and Colombina, in their beautiful clothes, danced and sang. "Oh," Giovanni said to himself, "this is the life for me." So when the play was over, Giovanni went and spoke to the maestro. "No, no," said the maestro. "I have no need for a ragamuffin. Go beg your bread somewhere else." "But I could be very helpful," pleaded Giovanni. "I could help unpack and pack up. I could take care of the donkey. And maestro," added Giovanni, "I can juggle." "Not bad," said the maestro, watching. "With a bit more training and practice." "All right, but no money. A place to sleep, the companionship of the finest players in Italy, and a bowl of noodles. That's all." "Grazie, signor," said Giovanni. What do you think grazie means if he said grazie after Giovanni told him he would take him along? Good guess. Grazie means thank you in Italian. "Go get your things. We leave in an hour," said the maestro. And so Giovanni said goodbye to Signor and Signora Baptista and became a traveling player. Not long after, the maestro gave him a costume, and Giovanni juggled for the crowds. He would put on a clown's face, step out from the curtain before the play began, bow, open up a colorful bag, roll out a carpet, and begin. He would juggle sticks, plates. Then he would balance the plates on the sticks and twirl them. He would juggle clubs, rings, and burning torches. Finally, he would toss a red ball and an orange ball, then a yellow ball, a green, a blue, and a violet ball until it looked as if he were juggling the rainbow. "And now for the sun in the heavens," he would cry. Still juggling, he would pick up a shining golden ball and toss it higher and higher, faster and faster, and how the crowds would cheer. Giovanni became very famous, and it wasn't long before he said goodbye to the traveling troupe and set off on his own. Up and down Italy he traveled, and although his costume became more beautiful, he always kept the face of a clown. Once he juggled for a duke, once for a prince, and it was always the same. First the sticks, then plates, then the clubs, rings, and burning torches, finally the rainbow of colored balls. "And now for the sun in the heavens," he would shout, and the golden ball would fly higher and higher, and the crowds would laugh and clap and cheer. One day, between two towns, Giovanni was sitting in the shade of a tree eating a lunch of bread and cheese. Two little brothers came down the road. Now, if you see them, they're called little brothers, but they're probably not actually brothers the way you and I think of brothers, where they're related. They're called brothers because they are monks. And see how they've got these special robes? And see the funny haircut they have? Well, monks are called brothers, so that's why they're called brothers. "Will you share your food with us, good clown?" they asked, "for the love of God and the blessings of our brother Francis." "Sit down, good fellows," Giovanni said. "There is more than enough." As the three men ate, the two little brothers told Giovanni how they went from town to town, begging their food and spreading the joy of God. "Our founder, Brother Francis, says that everything sings of the glory of God. Why, even your juggling," said one of the brothers. "That's well and good for men like you, but I only juggle to make people laugh and applaud," Giovanni said. "It's the same thing," the brothers said. "If you give happiness to people, you give glory to God as well." "If you say so," said Giovanni, laughing. "But now I must be off to the next town. Arrivederci, good brothers, and good luck." And wherever Giovanni went, the air was filled with his flying sticks and plates, his clubs and rings and torches, and always his rainbow of balls and the sun in the heavens. And wherever Giovanni went, the faces of the crowds would be all smiles, and the sound of laughter and cheers would ring through the towns. Years passed. Giovanni grew old, and times became hard. People no longer stopped to watch. "It's only the old clown who juggles things. We've all seen him before," they said. Giovanni was sad, but still he juggled until one day he dropped the sun in the heavens, and the rainbow of balls came crashing down, and the crowd stood around him and laughed, but not from joy. Then they did a terrible thing. They threw vegetables and stones at Giovanni so that he had to run for his life. Beside a stream, Giovanni took off his clown face. He put away his sticks and his plates, his clubs and rings and colored balls. He put away his costume, and he gave up juggling forever. What little money he had soon was gone, and his clothes became rags, and he begged his bread and slept in doorways as he had done as a child. "It's time to go home," the old man said wearily, and he headed back to Sorrento. It was a cold winter night when he finally arrived. The wind blew hard, and an icy rain was falling. Up ahead loomed the monastery church of the Little Brothers. The windows were in darkness. Wet and cold, old Giovanni crept inside and fell in a heap in a corner. Soon he was asleep. It was the music that woke him up. The church was blazing with candlelight and filled with people singing, "Gloria, Gloria." Giovanni could scarcely believe his eyes. So much beauty. A long procession of brothers, priests, sisters, and townspeople, all carrying beautiful gifts, was winding its way through the church. They placed their gifts in front of a statue of a lady and her child. "What is all this?" asked old Giovanni of someone standing near. "Why, old man, it's the birthday of the Holy Child," the woman said. "It's the procession of the gifts." Giovanni watched in amazement until the singing was over. Then the church emptied of all the people and was darkened except for the bright candles surrounding the lady and the child. Giovanni moved closer. The child in the lady's arms seemed so serious, so stern. He does, doesn't he? "Oh, lady," said Giovanni, "I wish I had something to offer too. Your child seems so sad, even with all these beautiful gifts. But wait, I used to make people smile." He just got an idea, didn't he? What do you think he's going to do? Let's wait and see. Giovanni opened his bag and shook out his old costume. Then he put on his clown face, bowed, rolled out the little rug, and began to juggle. First the sticks, then the plates. Next he twirled the plates on the sticks, and then the clubs and rings. What's he gonna do next? The brother sexton who was coming in to lock the doors saw Giovanni juggling. He was horrified. "Father, master," he cried, rushing off to get the priest. "A sacrilege! Come quickly!" But Giovanni didn't hear or notice him. "And now," said Giovanni, smiling at the face of the child, "first the red ball, then the orange." Look at Giovanni's face. Does he look happy to be juggling again? Next the yellow and the green, blue and violet. Around and up they went until they looked like a rainbow. "And finally," cried Giovanni, "the sun in the heavens!" The gold ball flew up and around, higher and higher. Giovanni had never juggled so well in all his life. Higher and higher, faster and faster, a blaze of color filled the air. It was magnificent. Giovanni's heart was pounding. "For you, sweet child, for you," he cried. Then suddenly his old heart stopped and Giovanni fell to the floor. The priest and brother sexton came rushing in. Stooping over old Giovanni, the priest said, "The poor clown. May his soul rest in peace." But the brother sexton backed away, and with his mouth wide open, he stared at the statue of the lady and her holy child. "Oh, Father," he said, pointing. "Oh, Father, look!" The child was smiling, and in his hand he held the golden ball. That story has some sad parts as well as some happy parts, doesn't it? But what I like about that story is the thing that brought Giovanni so much joy and happiness was what? His juggling. And when he juggled, he brought joy and happiness to others, didn't he? And what did he get to do at the end? He got to juggle again. And it reminds me that sometimes it's the simplest things that brings joy. And was he a grown-up or was he a kid when he started juggling? Yes, he was a kid just like you. And he still did very important things. That's good to remember. Well, I have some fun songs for us today. You might know this first song, so I hope you'll sing it with me. It's got a very long name in it, so we're going to practice saying the name. So repeat after me. John, Jacob, Jingleheimer Schmidt. Now let's put that whole name together and say it together. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. That's a mouthful. Well, that's the song we're going to sing today. Do you hear all those J's? John Jacob Jingleheimer. And Charlie is going to join the song with us because he likes this song. And I think you'll be able to figure out what his favorite part is. We're going to sing it through 3 times. Here we go. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, "There goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt." Da 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 da. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, "There goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt." Da 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 da. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, there goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, da 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 da. Isn't that a fun song? Well, I'm going to put Charlie away for this next song because I need something else for this next song. Do you remember when we did the letter H and we celebrated happy birthday for Charlie and had his quarantine birthday party? And we had a special guest. We had Blake the musician. And Blake played drums, but what did he use for his drums? Buckets. Well, I dug out a bucket right here, and I'm going to use it as my drum in this song. Now, I'm not very good yet, but I figure if I don't try and practice, I won't get any better, right? So, this will be my drum for this next song. This next song is called When Johnny Comes Marching Home. This is an old song, and it's from a sad time in our country when a lot of people were away from their friends and family. And this song expresses longing to have their loved ones back home again. This is the rhythm I'm going to tap on the drum. And I chose this rhythm because it kind of sounded a bit like a march. And it was simple to do, and I have to do something simple right now since I'm still learning. Okay, so if you want to practice that same rhythm, you could do it. Maybe you have a bucket, or maybe you have a coffee table in front of you, or just your lap. You can do the rhythm with me. There's also a part in the song where we say hurrah, hurrah, which is like an old-fashioned way of saying hooray. So whenever we say that, you can join in on the hurrahs. All right? Here we go. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer and the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out, and we'll all feel glad when Johnny comes marching home. The old church bell will peal with joy, hurrah, hurrah, to welcome home our darling boy, hurrah, hurrah. The village lads and lassies say, with roses we will strew the way, and we'll all feel glad when Johnny comes marching home. I still have some practicing to do on my drum, don't I? Well, it was a lot of fun to be with you today. Thank you again for joining me and for joining Charlie. Well, we're going to listen for the J sound as we go about the rest of our day. Maybe you're thirsty and you can ask for some juice, right? Or maybe you want a snack and you can make some toast with jam or jelly. Well, before we go, let's give ourselves some love. So hold out this arm and wrap it around your body, and hold out this arm and wrap it around the other way, and give yourself a great big squeeze, because you are special and you are loved. Bye-bye.